On November 15, 1974, the USPS issued its first experimental self-adhesive stamp. The Bureau of Engraving and Printing produced the stamp on its Andreotti press and leased additional machinery from companies that produced self-stick labels. The stamp was die-cut, stripped, rouletted, and cut into finished panes. The stamp also had cross-center slits to prevent it being removed from envelopes and reused. The stamp had rounded corners and was produced on a backing paper. Unlike today's self-adhesives, these stamps didn't touch each other and instead had lines of backing paper in between them. On the edge of each sheet were 10 self-adhesive tabs with plate numbers and a variety of phrases including self-sticking stamps, remove from backing, and do not moisten. The Christmas stamp, picturing the weather vane from the top of Mount Vernon, was issued on November 15, 1974, in New York City. Both the USPS and collectors soon deemed the experiment a failure. For the USPS, production of the stamp was too expensive and crosscuts didn't prevent it from being reused. Years later, collectors discovered that the rubber-based adhesive created brown spots on the stamps and stained the covers. Because of all these issues, the USPS gave up on self-adhesives for 15 years. Then in 1989, they tried again. This time they used an acrylic-based adhesive and produced 18 stamp convertible booklets and strips of 18 for affixing machines. The stamps went on sale on November 10, 1989, in Virginia Beach, Virginia, to coincide with the annual Vapex Stamp Show. However, the stamps themselves were only distributed to 15 cities for a 30-day test period. Customers in those cities were unhappy with the stamps, likely because there was a 50-cent premium added to the booklets to cover the higher production costs. This issue was also deemed a failure. Not ready to give up, the USPS tried again in 1990. This time they printed the stamps on plastic in sheets the same size and thickness of paper currency for sale in select ATMs in Seattle. There was no additional premium added to these stamps, and they were considered a success. The USPS then expanded the program, but the next stamps would be printed on paper because of complaints they received from paper recyclers. The experiments continued, and then in 1992, the USPS issued its first nationally distributed self-adhesives since 1974, the 29-cent Eagle and Shield stamps. They issued their first self-adhesive commemorative in 1996, honoring Tennessee statehood. The number of self-adhesives grew over the years, and by 2002, almost all U.S. stamps were issued self-adhesive.